I got my protein shake. Cheers. Cheers to all of you. And happy 2025, almost 2026 season. I said it before, in Google Ads, the only constant is change. If I could start every single blog article with that, I would. And we all know that it's true. And we all know that we fight change. I mean, a lot of us that have been in the agency world for forever, been in Google Ads and PPC for forever, we're getting old. Let's just face the reality. And with all this change, we have to sort through it. We have to figure out what the heck's going on. We have to determine, is this a good update? Is this an update that maybe we won't use? Can we apply it to our brands, to our clients? Can we speak to it? Does it even make sense? Or is it a new update that's been rebranded? What is it? And in 2025, if there was one theme, and we all know it, I feel like if we were playing bingo and something like maybe a drinking game, we could put AI on the bingo card. We lived through the machine learning bingo card, the automation bingo card, the everything bingo card, and here we are. So in today's video, I am not going to go through the entire roadmap for 2025, which I actually went through in the video that you'll see posted below. Today, we're going to focus on the 6 updates that I think were the most impactful on 2025. These are the ones that I feel change everything for us as PPCers. And we're not just talking about integrating AI as a helpful feature. We're talking about updates that change how we strategize, how we create, and how we measure performance. So this video, unlike the longer one, is going to cut through that noise. I've analyzed all the developments to focus on these core 6. The opening up of the black box of Performance Max. I think that this was the biggest historical change that has been made to the Performance Max campaigns. Up until this year, Performance Max was a trade-off, and we were admittedly sacrificing some control and some visibility and some transparency. And I think despite the fact that PMax had impressive results, it was overshadowed by the lack of transparency in the platform. And I think that black box made a lot of advertisers hold back on Performance Max or fight what it was doing. And I felt like in 2025, Google began earning a lot of trust back, showing us more data than ever before. So one of the key updates was full search term reporting. Advertisers can now access the same search term data that they find in the search campaigns. We also have channel level performance data. I think this was really, really huge because before then I was looking at my PMax and thinking, this is what I think it's doing. But that data was able to validate what it was doing. We saw when it was leaning into the upper funnel campaigns. We saw when the campaigns were leaning into YouTube. And this was helpful determining, are we going to run a standalone YouTube? Or are we going to trust PMax to have that coverage? Tip, I always run a standalone YouTube. We also got new controls. We were allowed to put in negatives. I have even worked with advertisers that do very creative things with PMax and have essentially a brand and a non-brand PMax. We weren't able to do this prior to 2025. We also got the ability to apply demographic and device targeting. But here's the thing, this transparency goes beyond this. We had richer new asset reporting. We were able to look at all the numbers across assets so we could tell which headline, description, and image are working and meeting our goals down the line. We saw impressions, clicks, conversions, the stuff that we're used to as marketers. Obviously, any of this data is a game changer because we can swap out things that aren't converting and aren't working. We can answer questions on behalf of our clients and our stakeholders. We can say, oh, that image, let's swap that out with something like this. We have that data at our fingertips. Another game changer I felt was the new agentic solutions. For me, this evolution in AI was a new paradigm. You're shifting from using AI as tools to using AI as more of a partnership and a conversation. We have the Ads Advisor, which is in there, and essentially it helps you manage campaigns, troubleshoot policy issues, create new assets, and you can analyze performance directly in the ads interface. And I know a seasoned Google Ads experts look at this and think, oh no. Or we find situations where sometimes the answer may not be what we consider to be the correct answer. But I always look at these tools as conversation starters. I think sometimes when you become an expert, you forget that the people around you don't know what you know. They don't have the context. I have sat there on client calls and opened up the recommendations that, again, all of us experts tend to complain about. And I've gone through each one by one, and explain to the business that I'm working with why that suggestion and why it may or may not work, or why it may be a good idea, or why it may be a good idea to consider it and implement it by hand versus clicking the automatic button to do it in the interface. What these things do is they give us a framework to open up that conversation. And I think that sometimes that's a missing piece when we come in as seasoned experts with a criticism of these new tools. They're not perfect. We know that, but they get us started. And as a lot of people say, and I know Jill loves to say, they're an average maker. They bring up the bottom half and push the ones of us that are more advanced to continue to be more advanced. And we know whenever you hire an expert, whenever you hire a strategist, you're going to get the more in-depth advanced strategies, but they do help bring up the bottom and level up that playing field. I feel like I've used that all the time. I think I have the book behind me. Sorry, I hope that's not trademarked. To be fair, that was a novel when it was said, and now I have to use it in like all my videos. We also have the Analytics Advisor. Again, part of this agentic suite. It is a conversational analysis in Google Analytics. Also, it maintains conversation memory. I think this is fantastic. And I don't want to be weird, but I have to admit, I've always found GA4 harder. And so this, again, levels me up. It's a starting point. It helps me get to where I need to go a little bit faster. And that's what it is about. But to me, this move signals that we will get to the point where we can have AI help us analyze the complex data. It's not all on us. And eventually we'll be able to use natural language and just dedicate our optimization to AI agents. But we all know we have to watch it, and we all know the experts still matter. So I know everyone's afraid, but it'll be okay. The third thing that I put in my top 6, and again, if you want to read about the roadmap, you can click on the link that I'll provide to the blog post in the description. And if you want to hear every single update that's a lot more regurgitated, you can see my longer video. But I picked TV being a storefront as extremely impactful. It changes the way people are able to buy. I have 3 teenagers. They're downstairs monopolizing the biggest TV in the house, watching YouTube. For years, connected TV has excelled at brand building and awareness, but TV has always struggled with that conversion point. And it makes it so advertisers don't want to do it because we all love the conversion. But in 2025, Google has started to collapse that funnel. And it's not just putting an awkward buy button on the TV. It's about brand integrations because we also have the cultural moments. It makes moments in history and moments that people are talking about, moments where brands can connect with their users. And when it comes to the shoppable CTV, essentially viewers can browse right from their TV and then send themselves a text and continue on their mobile device. The strategic impact of this is absolutely immense. As shoppers, we all know that we see something and think, oh, I'll look at that later. And then you go back and Google the brand. And then obviously the brand can't track it. Maybe they can, depends on if you're logged in or logged out. It's just another connection point to allow brands to track what's happening more, to have that conversion point right then, right there. And if anything, as the shopper in me, I think it incentivizes brands to get really creative here and have a really good deal and make me want to jump off my couch and make that purchase decision right then and there. And we know brands, the smart ones, are going to capitalize on this. But ultimately, for retail and marketers, it collapses that funnel. It means the funnel is right there in a place when it traditionally was not. The fourth thing, and I talked about this in Nano Banana, and it came at the end of the year, is Google is really trying to become your creative maker, the creative team. And it's going to get old, level the playing field. You know, small advertisers that don't have the red tape, that do not have the creative teams, can make images at scale with a lot of these tools right there in the interface. And as strategic marketers, we're always saying that you have to have lifestyle images. You have to show the product in use. And now we can do that. And we can do that using natural language. And we can use that based on the images that they already have. So it's not going to create something completely out of the blue and random. And there's systems in there so we can get approval. So we can't just, be the rogue marketers that we all are. And with that, we have Asset Studio, which acts as this hub so we can store things and they don't get lost in the interface or on our computer or on our hard drive. The fifth update that I chose out of the 6 super important ones are really the cross-platform source of truth. I don't feel like you've been in marketing long enough if you know that everyone is obsessed with attribution. As much as I say that it doesn't necessarily matter as much as brands focus on it, I do think it's really important to understand if I do X, what happens with Y? If I spend more on YouTube, what am I seeing from the brand? Because as people that want to keep our jobs, that want to stay employed, we can't just be spending money and saying, oh, it raises brand awareness, we think. We have to prove things. We can't just do what we know in our heart is correct. This is an art and a science, and Google is helping us with the science piece. Job security. And so really the name of the game here is Meridian. It's Google's new marketing mix model. And I worked at many agencies that had marketing mixes that they absolutely swore by, percentages, down to the 1 or 2% change in how they built their funnel. And this is open source and it allows these brands to test these things. It also provides transparent, credible methodology. They're not just telling you, well, this is how we calculate it. It enables calibration with your incrementality experiments. The old, if I turn off YouTube, what happens to my non-brand search? Or if I turn off YouTube, what happens to brand? Or if I turn up YouTube, what happens with performance max? These types of things. Or what happens to in-store purchases if I turn off non-brand search? The second part of this is we can now import cost data directly into Google Analytics. And we can do that from other platforms like Meta, TikTok, Pinterest. And this is huge because, again, it's one central place. And advertisers have to have that master control center so they can look at their funnel. So the CMO that's listening to my YouTube video, hopefully, and not just other Google Ads practitioners, knows that they have a central hub. And my last update is the update to smart bidding to get into some untapped customers. And I know we all think that we are the smartest marketers, but consumers are always changing. And finding those pockets of growth is incredibly difficult, especially in mature audiences, mature brands, and mature accounts. And the smart bidding exploration is our tool to be able to do this. I think it's a huge upgrade to bidding. It allows us to take a percentage of our traffic and say, you know what, we're comfortable testing with this. We're comfortable accepting a lower ROAS. And of course, it's empowered by Google's AI. We're essentially given the ability to partition off our traffic and say it's okay to test with this. And the initial results out of Google, they're impressive. There was an 18% increase on unique search queries. So those new random terms that us marketers think, no way could this work, but it actually works. And a 19% increase in conversions. I'll take that any day. Job security. In practical terms, this means Google's AI is no longer optimizing for that you already know about. It's actively looking and discovering new customer audience segments, ones that you might have missed. So if I were to look at 2025 in a nutshell, I would say the AI copilot is here. The AI assistant is here. AI has arrived, and it's only going to get better and better and better. And I think it would be negligent as us as marketers not to try these tools, not to test them, and not to give them our best, most open mind. AI is no longer just in the background. It's in the forefront. It's something that we have to partner with. We have to acknowledge. And always, always remember that these updates are designed to augment, not replace. I said it in both videos, the longer one and today's video. But a lot of people in our industry are terrified because we can't just capitalize on the fact that we know all the secret settings where Google drains our budget. We can't just capitalize on knowing the platform in and out and being button pushers. We have to look holistically as marketers. And that's harder to do and harder to sell because clients always, always crave that immediate prescriptive solution to their pain. But the good news for those of us who adapt is the strategy is where the big bucks are made. That is where the success lies. And we are being freed up from the day-to-day and the low-level decision-making that we had to do in the past. As always, I want to know what you think in the comments. And I am so happy that you listened to the quick episode today. I will put links in the show notes in the description with the blog post that covers what I talked about today. And you can always watch the longer video that I made last night. Thank you so much for an amazing 2025. Thank you, Google. Thank you, everyone who's been here. And I cannot wait to see you in 2026. Cheers.